The local councillor who claims she needs protection from some of her constituents. She has security guards at meetings and carries a duress alarm. But the residents she fears have a very different story.
Things that are happening in our area.
She's alienating the community.
She completely stonewalls us.
People are feeling like there is nobody listening to them.
Is this democracy in action or an angry mob?
Well, we want progress. What is the progress? What is the outcome?
It was a community meeting that a local councillor described as a 200-strong, terrifying mob, claiming she was thankful she had security officers with her for safety.
It was about 75 residents that sat respectfully, listened and questioned. And that's all that happened on that day.
John McManus was one of the local residents in attendance. The issue is this lake that their homes are built around, a rare freshwater lake cut off from the Gold Coast's canals and the bull sharks that lurk within them. The safety of Lake Hugh Munts made it a home for nippers training and triathlons too, but blue-green algae has made the water too toxic to swim in, and these residents want council to fix it.
You realise this is a community asset. It's not like just a few residents that want their nice lake for themselves. It's like the whole of the Gold Coast uses it.
Paul Keogh was also at that meeting where Councillor Pauline Young eventually spoke to residents about the complicated and expensive options to fix their beloved lake.
When we get into the council chambers, there's X amount of dollars allocated for all the lakes in the city.
Councillor Young can be seen expressing frustration at some points, but it appears there's no abuse or threats in a 9-minute video posted online by residents. 2 months after the meeting, Councillor Young painted a very different picture in an interview with the local newspaper.
I came along to a community meeting about it and thank God there were council security officers there. I found myself in the midst of a 200-strong mob just going off at me. It was terrifying.
I think a lot of people would have felt stung, yeah. How does anyone feel when they're vilified, they're shamed publicly?
I would say they're outraged because a lot of the accusation we believe is completely false.
Kathy Osborne was also in attendance. She ran against Councillor Young at the last election and has become a sounding board for a number of disgruntled residents.
Was there anything you saw at that meeting that would leave someone fearing for their safety?
Absolutely not. Quite the opposite, which is why the outrage. I cannot fathom where or at what point she felt fearful.
It's not the only issue in Pauline Young's Division 12 electorate. The reason she now claims to wear a duress alarm is from what she says is abuse directed at her over new trees planted along the Miami beachfront, which have since been vandalised.
They've removed the trees, they've broken the roots off.
David Rogers lives along that beachfront and is fed up with the insinuation residents are destroying the trees to protect their ocean views.
I don't think she's taking us as residents and our concerns seriously at all.
Council tried a tree planting program here 6 years ago, planting Norfolk pines which would tower over the area. They were eventually ripped out by council, replaced with native trees which will only grow 3 metres high.
The problem is not the trees. The trees are not an issue here. It's always been about the lack of consultation.
Council has now installed signs that are also 3 metres high, warning about further damage.
After these council signs went up, some local residents decided they needed a sign of their own, gathering together enough money to launch a spectacular protest in the sky.
First, it was a simple message that her constituents weren't happy, followed up by another that they're being ignored.
To try and get some attention, to try and get her to reach out, because we've tried every traditional means necessary.
The bigger issue for these residents is crime in Miami. A resident's Facebook page is filled with videos capturing drug use and antisocial behaviour. Even a 9 News crew came under fire. Residents have been told there's no budget for council to expand its safety camera network to Miami. David Rogers and Bob Coleman are frustrated money could be found to plant trees instead. Councillor Young has even suggested CCTV cameras may be installed to monitor the trees.
I think it's another insult to residents that trees all of a sudden are more important than people.
Pauline Young declined our request for interview and has also had to deal with the death of her father in recent months. She said in a statement,
"The consistent bullying tactics of a very small number of residents confirms to me that I can only make decisions in the best interests of the majority. I have felt threatened by comments and actions of some individuals in recent situations, and I make no apology for letting people know that I will not tolerate verbal threats in any way."
To come back from this, she has to come back to the people.
Let's talk to the people that elected you and that have put their faith in you.
And since we started asking questions, the Gold Coast City Council is looking at ways to fix the problem with the lake.